Good morning and welcome to Conversations on the Block. I'm your host, Pat Robinson. Tri-State, as we celebrate Father's Day, we often focus on the individual role of a father within a household. But today I want us to think even bigger. What happens when fathers are present, not just in homes, but in communities? What happens when men lead, mentor, teach, protect, and help shape the values of the next generation? Across our communities, we're navigating complex realities. Young people are growing up in a world full of constant noise, competing influences, social media, violence, shifting definitions of success, and unprecedented challenges to their mental and emotional well-being. At the same time, mothers are carrying extraordinary responsibilities, often raising children with limited support and doing everything they can to keep their families moving forward. So what is the role of the Black man in this moment? What is the responsibility of fathers, grandfathers, uncles, coaches, mentors, and community leaders? And how do we reclaim our values, accountability, and sense of purpose that help young people survive and thrive? But today, I'm so excited because we are joined by a man whose wisdom, and I'm going to double down on that, his wisdom, life experience, and commitment to community have earned him the respect of many. We're going to have an honest conversation about fatherhood, legacy, relationships, music, culture, and what it will take to strengthen our families and communities forward. His name is A.U. Hogan. He's Chief of Streets Life Camp. He's a lifelong resident of South Jamaica, Queens. He serves as the Chief of Streets and Chief Program Strategy Officer at Life Camp, one of the leading violence prevention organizations in the nation. He redefined the co-production of public safety, setting a new precedent and bridging gaps between police and community. He attended the NYPD Civilian Police Academy in 2007, where he honed his skills and graduated as valedictorian of his class. He used his knowledge and skills to create and foster partnerships with local law enforcement agencies and community-based organizations, making streets safer and building trust on both ends. He also served as the president of Baisley Park Houses for 18 years, where he diligently advocated and improved the quality of life for his fellow community members. His personable disposition and deep knowledge of community relations enabled him to liaison with Governor Cuomo and State Senator Vivian Cook, which led to $1.5 million donation to create a new senior center and $800,000 for cameras throughout the development for Queensborough President Melinda Katz. Mr. Hogan created a myriad of opportunities for Baisley Park residents, including new playgrounds, basketball courts, and installation of 5 new elevators and security cameras. I mean, Tri-State, the bio could probably keep us here for the whole hour in and of itself. But because I have this man in front of me, we just gonna get into the conversation. Welcome to the show, Mr. Hogan.
Welcome. Thank you for having me, Pat. Let's get ready to rumble.
Yeah. So let's talk about the state of our communities. What concerns you the most today?
What concerns me the most is what we project to look forward in the future. Right now, we are okay, but where we're headed, it becomes complex because we really don't have a plan or idea where we want to go.
Yeah.
Because the positions that we're in, we're basically forced into these positions, as you spoke about, the Black man in the family, he's a particular agent, that is separate from all the other agents that's inside the house, and he's asked to lead. But this Black father who's asked to lead was also a young son that was an agent that was disproportionately not able to know how it is to fit into society because he was this young black boy that nobody really liked, and he had to learn how to fit in. And when he began to excel in different things, it was not meant for this young black boy to excel. So there's so many things, systemic things that were put in place to make sure that he doesn't get to the point to be that agent Black man that can really be a provider, protector, and succeeder for his family. So it gets really complex, Pat, when you look at, our relationships, because we come into this, this whole idea of being a family man,
right?
With our own senses, because through generations, we were not told by our fathers how to be a family man. There was stuff put in place to make sure that this man, that if he stayed around, he had to be this secret agent. that he was vilified if he tried to become this father, this provider that was meant for him to be, that was naturally his position.
Right.
And so it gets complex, and I think it's going to be very ironic when you have the same time when the black man trying to find his identity, that the black woman is also having to struggle.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
And so here are two agents that are separately struggling inside a household. So what are you going to tell the child? And the child is, I was with my great nephew yesterday, and my brother, Pastor Hogan, was in the park, and it's a little too hot for me yesterday, right? But the kids are running around. So the child is like 2 years old. He's running around, and I'm saying, wow, this is really interesting, how closely connected he is with his grandfather. But the next year he's going to be shifted to a tablet, and then he's going to not have to depend on human contact or closeness. And so we're being engineered into being away from one another. And then by times he's 5, 6 years old, he don't need us anymore.
You see?
And that's the problem with us looking towards the future. We are right now, but if we don't shift something real quickly, we're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, and I appreciate you being earnest and honest about that. And so on today, Father's Day, when you think about the celebratory language of that, do you think that we're given enough space for our black men to come together and convene and talk about these issues?
We do and we don't. First of all, there's, the thing that I always say, they say, can't you wait till Father's Day? I said, wow, is this a leap year? And I say that lightly because, when you look at the attention that we get to each other is not, we black men don't speak to each other, one. We can walk down the streets and there's a particular of unsafe feeling that we have. We talk about how people feel unsafe around us, but we feel even less safe around each other. And until we address those particular issues, we can't prove to the young boy that it's okay to trust your friend. And these things are all systemic. These things come from a great history of making sure that we didn't get together, hook up together. And a lot of times when I'm hooking up together, it's just for play and entertainment. Right. And there's really no goal to where we went ahead for. I was looking at the family dynamics and making us a better people. But I think when you look at what can happen with the black man and the black woman, we have to be careful because social media still is that driver now. We have social media, which is great for many, many reasons, but when you have access to everything you want, whenever you want it, your immediate gratification is filled, and it does not give you the need to want anymore because you just press a button and you have.
There's no discipline.
And no discipline and no really arriving at the result of saying I accomplished something because everything's here. So the mind begins to weaken because there's no process of having to strive to find and learn other things because you don't want to learn everything because everything that you need to learn is in the tablet or on your phone or in front of you. The problem is that as fast as this information comes, we don't have the ability to differentiate whether this information is true or not. So you create the term fact-finding. What was told to us when we was kids, there was a lot of things that were not factual, but we were too young to challenge them. So it's a good thing that at least young people's minds can challenge what's happening new, but then it's a bad thing because most of the stuff that is given to us, even by older people to young people, is not good for them.
Yeah. So when you reference social media, I mean, this is a reality is that households have parents that are on social media. At the same time, their kids are on social media. So the household dynamic, to some degree, is all divided in the house, right? And so where does the learning for our young people and the discipline and the strategy, and I'm not saying all households govern like this, but then we start to see some of these issues pour out with our young people right into the streets, and we are trying to figure out what's happening.
When you say that not all households, and I agree, not all households, but we can't get to the place to say, well, not me, because if we look at ourselves as a collective, if you have a white dress and you have one pink spot on it, the whole dress is dirty. You know,
Oh.
so you can't say that. You know, we're not. I know a lot of brothers say, black men, y'all have to be a part of your family, and then one brother come out of 100 and say, well, I'm taking care of my brother. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the essence of our collectiveness. That we are not known to have enough community to make it look like it's okay to be a father. A father's not something that I'm cool, I take care of my children. That's what you're naturally supposed to do. And the problem with us that, you know, I've seen during the 80s, during the crack eras, that man have a baby, but he'll spend more money at the bottles and the kids will walk around with dirty Pampers. You know, and that's our irresponsibility. Brothers need to learn how to respectfully check other brothers. If you're hanging out with the club with them and you know his child is home with dirty diapers, say, bro, slow down on that $350 bottle of Moet that really costs $50 at the liquor store, but $350 in the club.
Right.
You know, we have to look at our priorities and what is about black identity and what that means. I know I was going through just studying a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking about black power redundancy. And what, you know, we went from here
With the fist up.
You know, to the arms protruded, clenching the needle. We went from, you know, looking at our nations and our people throughout the global aspect of doing greater things and going back to our historical greatness. But then we started frying coke. You know, and I mean this respectfully what I'm saying, Pat, here.
Yeah.
You know, people celebrated a couple years ago 50 years of hip hop. I want us to look at where we've come since then. Are we a better people since hip hop? You know, we have some brothers that have and sisters who have become millionaires and billionaires and bettered their lives as a totality. Look at the black family. We have not become greater. All we have is greater graven images that we follow certain people. Hence the term followers on IG and friend on Facebook. That we have friends I was a kid, my mother said, don't talk to strangers.
That's right.
And 99% of our friends on social media are strangers.
Wow.
You know, so where are we going with this?
Yeah.
And I think we're gonna make it, but the other night was 1.2 seconds left in the game.
That's right.
We only got 0.5 seconds in the game.
That's right.
And we're going to need OG or somebody to chip something in for us to make this miraculous comeback, because right now it's the fourth quarter and we're losing greatly.
All right, Tri-State. That's why he's here with us. So I want to reel back, because I want the Tri-State to understand that you've lived through these eras. You talked about the crack era. You've been through the eras and you've seen the evolution. Take us through some of what you've seen before. And, you know, I know we're talking about where we are now, but I really want to open that conversation up a little bit. Because, like, for example, in today, where we are in an environment where marijuana dispensaries are legalized, and then we have our communities riddled with marijuana shops, and it's just a different thing. We're fighting so many monsters, poverty, everything.
I thank you for that question. And for the listening audience, we did not rehearse that question.
We didn't. I ain't even looking at the questions right now.
It is so important. That question is so important. I ran a campaign against legalizing marijuana. I also ran a campaign against decriminalizing marijuana. And so if you took the scientific approach and look at it, both of those things, legalizing it would create a greater addiction. Decriminalize it would lessen mass incarceration.
Let's talk about it.
And so we didn't look at that and say, hey, if we legalize it, young people who has made it trending anyway are going to believe that they have the right by the law to smoke. But the law states that you have to be 21 years and older. There's going to only be specific places. Any public housing, any federal government subsidized homes you cannot smoke in. You don't have a yard, you can't smoke in. And so there's 9 out of 10 reasons why you legally can't smoke while they addicting you. So no one, I mean, of course the scientists to make sure that we stay in this unsuccessful approach knew what was happening. But we as a people were just glad to legalize it. And we didn't know the difference between legalization and not incarceration. Because there are more arrests now for smoking marijuana and selling, because the legal shops are complaining that people around their corners are selling illegal weed. And so when the government terms something, it's almost like lottery when they took the numbers from neighborhoods and stuff like that. When you legalized lottery, I think it was as early as 1976 when you had lotto and you were arrested. They really went down on these number bookers and stuff like that. So this is the same thing that's happening. And although they say it's legal, people don't know what that means. Mm-hmm. Also, the hospitals and these places that you're going to stop for a minute are being filled with people that are taking gummies and all those things, And so even the legal things are prescribed, to an indifference that makes us greater fools than we were in the first place.
Mm-hmm. You talked about incarceration. Let's go there. That's a whole nother behemoth that, is a continuous struggle, a continuous battle. We most recently saw in the news in reference to Carmelo Anthony getting sentenced to 35 years. And there's so many more stories like that. What should we be doing as a community other than talking about it on Instagram?
Yeah. First of all, I think we need a retreat.
Okay.
We need, when you're at war and things look like you're losing and it's an uphill battle, you have to go back and say whether it's worth it continuing this war or going somewhere and setting up our own shop. We're not going to be able to win in this war in a system that has not shown, but was created to make sure. Remember, systems are made up out of people. There's something system ain't just pop up. It's people. Systems. Mm-hmm. People make the systems that have situations like Carmelo Anthony and what he goes through, and when the judge and these young people really don't know how connected the district attorney is with the judge and the judge with these lawyers, and so we fill these systems because a lot of jobs and occupations that are upstate, folks don't have talent to do anything but watch us. And so they know that, when the time that we were getting work in jobs when we first, because of our history being enslaved, we at least had skills.
Yes.
And so then we became of competition to others, to rural whites that didn't have skills, and then they became problems. When the Irish came over and the Irish and blacks was a community that they were doing well, they even started having families with one another, but then they created a police department. And the first job for the Irish was to watch the blacks. After they had relationships for years and years and years, and they successfully, lived in the community together. So whatever happens to us, far as I'm Pat, I mean this. If you look at how good we look at everything we do, if I wasn't I would be mad.
Come on, say that again, because we do look good at what we do.
We look good even in our oppressed state. We look good.
Can we relax in that moment? Because that's a really important thing that you say. We look good even in our oppressed state.
Yes.
Which means that we have normalized living in a oppressed state. Unacceptable.
Yes.
Unacceptable.
Yes, and so that's a two-pronged thing. Perfect that you led into that. So we even look good. So we fantasize of people being jealous and envious of us because we okay in our oppressed state. But what it does to us, it keeps us in that oppressed state. And that's where the problem comes, because we feel very comfortable, and we created culture of our failures. To believe that we still must black market and to underground and to hide everything far as making sure that we make it, it's not well. I know I'm not going to argue that the mainstream is kind of difficult for us.
Yeah.
Because you go into the mainstream and they create things and they say DEI and affirmative action, that we were given all those things, those rights, because no, we weren't given those affirmative action. Instruments just put us there. Say,
right.
make everything not only equal but equitable.
That's right.
Right? You gave me, you say you're going to treat me with equality. You gave me a computer, but it's not the same kind
That's
that
right.
you gave this other person. So I can't keep up to speed. And so the computer's an interesting thing too also, because I remember when computers first started, I was there, well, maybe the first. But I remember RAM and
right. IBM.
Random access memory. Even way before IBM. Yeah. And I remember studying computer. I was actually studying computers in York College, right? And so I remember when they started doing the dial-up, you'd have to wait a long time. You hear this big knock in this connection. But then you start seeing broadband, fast speed. And I said, wow, what does that mean? That means that the information that you're seeking, you're going to get quicker.
Right.
Right? And the quicker we got that information, the dumber we became.
I'm not going to argue on it. I'm not going to argue on it. And now they got us at like
fast
so
speed.
fast we can't even keep up.
We can't even keep up.
Tri-State, if you're just joining, you're listening to Pat Robinson Conversations on the Block, and we are talking to the incredible, wise A.U. Hogan. And thank you for sharing that. And the reason I brought you on here is because I personally had the opportunity to sit with A.U. Hogan and a collective group of other amazing leaders as we did a panel on gun violence. And so I want to shift the conversation now, because what we've been seeing in the community is a lot of violence with our young people. Multiple murders of our young men, and it's become normalized. It's being videotaped. It's being redistributed, and it's a problem. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, the gun violence becomes, and the violence, the knife violence, the bad violence, instability has created a way for us to give up before we have an opportunity to look at the problem, look for a solution. America fantasizes with violence. America became America because of violence. America continues to be America because of violence. Now we have a peekaboo America. The United States of America has a peekaboo strategy of saying, I'm going to bomb you to smithereens today, and then never mind, I won't. Mm-hmm. And so, like young people, they see death. They see instability in the household. They see no resources. And then if there are resources, they are not allowed to be a part of those resources. And they see all those things. Our young people are a lot smarter than we were, and there's for many reasons, it's like the evolution of time. It's, as wise as we became, we put into our seed, and the woman received that, and that she began to raise that child a lot better than our parents. Because remember, we are only a few generations away from slavery. So we are really coming back to our natural state of existence. And anything that's deprived of the nature, deprived of its power of its own being, because the being it's in is not active. So if you're not in your natural state, you can't activate as who you are. So young people, when, violence becomes, the go-to, it's because that's what people gave to them. This your answer. This, man, look, homie did this, man. Look, do that. And so no one checks that. I think it's ironic that the CI and the big homie is like almost a collective, where if you're not a confidential informant and you're given tools, not tools of wisdom, tools of destruction to young people who and it don't have nothing to do because of the law anymore. When they raise the age, it has nothing to do with that anymore. But young people now are culturally believing that the only way they can survive is by making sure you attack this other person before this person attacks you. So there's no conversation about peace And peace is this strange word in the dictionary nowadays that people use and throw out. But peace happens way before the violence even has an idea to exist. You know, peace is this real tranquil place that is experienced, not visited. You know, peace is an experience. It's not a place that you come show up and say it was peaceful. I had a peaceful day. No, that peace goes from one day to the next, and it transformed the person to live as nature desired for that person to live. And we have young people that have adjusted to what the society has desired them to live, as opposed to what nature has prescribed for them to live.
Yeah. So we're getting a lot today, and rightfully so. So before I go on to, I know what people don't know about you is that you've mentored and you continue to mentor some of the greats. You know, I want you to share some of the people that you mentor that people don't know, that you've raised from young people, and they're doing phenomenal things.
I'm gonna say this. I was in a meeting the other night at CCO, and I was talking about how I coached a lot of young college players that maybe 6 or 7 of them came up to be professional basketball players: Mario Elie, Kevin Williams, Mark Jackson. And so he said, "You coached Mark Jackson, right?" I said, "Yeah, I coached him the year that he went into the NBA, right?" And so we had a tournament. We was going to give him the trophy, and he didn't want to come into the projects. Said, "Bro, we got a 7-foot trophy. This 1987. If you want this 7-foot trophy, bro, his trophy's the size of Patrick Ewing." I didn't even know Patrick Ewing yet. He didn't know Patrick Ewing yet, because remember, Patrick came after him.
Right.
So Mark comes in, takes the picture, and we say we swore that we never showed us anything, because it was street tournaments. You know, we didn't want to mess anybody's money up. And then, so we had a little good relationship to Mark, became Mark Jackson, who he is, Remember Mark's thing, "Oh, mama, there goes that man." Y'all know that. Y'all remember that. Which I thought was crazy that Mark was saying that, because Mark upped everybody up but New York. Where's Mark now, right now, man? New York is getting ready to be 2026 champions, and Mark Jackson the way around. But so young people, they have the ability to go with. But one of a lot of young people, the Lost Boys, Chizzy and them, the new 50 Cent is one of the young persons that I had since he was 11 years old.
Wow.
And we just recently, we're doing some work together now.
I love that.
And so one of the things that I told young people, we was at Madison Square Garden, this is 1999, and I told, this is one of my personal, I'm a 2-time boxing champion.
I know that. That's amazing.
Nobody know that. I'm a 2-time Golden Glove champion, 125, 132. So I fought because the pressure in the community. As a young, I was the smallest.
Was you knocking them out?
No, I didn't play with them. I didn't like fighting, so I had to get rid of them.
Let's get this over with.
I love love, but as a kid, I was the smallest person in wherever the crew we went, and so gangs back then, the Seven Crowns, not the Jolly Stompers, they was coming out of Manhattan, but the Ghetto Brothers and the Savage Skulls, the smallest person in the gang would have to fight the other smallest person in the gang. And I was the smallest person in the gang.
So you was knocking them out.
Well, I was getting beat up.
You was getting beat up?
I was getting beat up. But what happened, it made me, when I was getting beat up, I started becoming numb to the hits and stuff like that, and learning to get my head out the way. This is 12, 13, 14 years old. So by the time 17, I'm this guy that, hey, wow, in 17, the crack era is blasphemy and stuff like that. And you had alluded to something. I really, one of the things that attracted me to boxing was my cousins, 3 of them had died from overdoses of heroin, which is also why I came with this distaste and hate for any kind of drug, and I made sure that the kids around me stayed away from the men. We had to protect a lot of young people, so I went from heroin to cocaine, to opium, back to cocaine to crack. And then when crack came, the world was over. But that was my thing to say, look, I got to try to create a world within this world where young people are protected. So we started running, chemistry started 1984, which is Community Helping to Educate Men to Institute Systems to Redirect the Youth. That was my first organization. Then my brother, who's Pastor Hogan, he started Brothers Against Killing Each Other in 1989 because it got so bad during the crack era. I had to leave my organization alone to address the crack issue.
Wow.
I'm like, do what you want to do. Leave the women and children alone. And that's what we, made sure that the women and children, there was no slip shots and no innocent bystanders.
Yeah.
Y'all go out the street with that, the women and kids in the park. So we were able to, I had some brothers with me. Wasn't by myself. I had some brothers and sisters with me to make sure this. And this is Southeast Queens. This is Basie Project I'm talking about in the 1980s, And interesting thing that, all the brothers, 5 out of the 7 brothers who were involved in all that stuff, when they came home after doing 30 years, they came to work with Life Camp.
Yeah. So let's talk about Life Camp. Global, nationally recognized. Give the Tri-State, I can't imagine that there's no one that doesn't know about Life Camp, but give the Tri-State some of the work and all of the amazing impact that has been going on.
Well, if you know about Life Camp, you better ask somebody.
That's right. That need to be a T-shirt.
Yeah, yes. One of the things, me and Erica went to York College. Erica Ford is the CEO of Life Camp. We went to York College. We graduated years apart because she went, came back. I went and came back. Also was in the theater all day overlook. I had graduated with 146 credits because my last 2 semesters, I wasn't taking my required course for a degree in psychology. I got 50 theater credits, and so Life Camp is like, it was the juggernaut, and part of the Erica Ford, H.E. Mitchell, Lance Furtado, and they were the first, and Tamika Mallory were the first ideas, and myself were the initial ideas of formulating, an anti-gun violence community to be conscious of. And it was almost prophetic because we didn't know that this was going to continue.
Yeah.
And so it has not only continued in just our community, but it's been fascinating throughout
the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when how we become a third world country. And so this is one of the conversations that we addressed when we started looking at how Life Camp should make sure that when someone is threatened or somebody is taken, we do something called safe corridors inside high schools. We're in high schools, we're in junior high schools. And I work with a lot of the young teachers that have degrees in early childhood education. They're coming with kids 3 and 4 years old talking about gangbanging. So we got to catch them coming out the womb, and I'm not trying to be easy on that. We got to catch them coming out of the womb to be safety. And this is Life Camp. Life ignites freedom through education. That's what Life Camp stands for. Life ignites freedom through education. And so we got to really catch them very early. And I say out the womb because when the womb has become, since during the early 1900s. Now remember, 75% of our children were born through midwives. Mm-hmm. We have babies at home. Then they created a hospital, and the hospital creates that initial dynamic of the separation from the child from his mother.
Here we go.
So we can't talk about why the kids messed up. We can't we got a system that said, take them away from the mother real quick, then don't make sure the father don't see them. So what Life Camp tries to do is try to address those realities of someone being taken away from their original state of wanting to just be a child and try to just, and I'm not going to say it's not difficult. You got King of Kings out here, also you have H.E. Mitchell with Man Up. You have Aisha's Call with Street Corner Resources out in Harlem. It's very difficult because children and young people are looking at answers in other places, and other places don't want them to survive.
Yeah. Do you think our generation lacks knowledge around our history, and that's a downfall for us?
It's pinnacle that when you look at what we learned and how we was. I come from I apologize, but I was educated. I got skipped. I never went to the 8th grade. I got skipped from the 7th to the 9th grade.
Come on now.
But in my conduct thing, it was read with U's. Right. Does not get along with others, and he constantly calls out. So my thing is, why? I'm too young. I'm 13. Why don't they know that? Okay, I'm having a difficult being a boy, but evidently I've been blessed with skills to know your work. Your work was sent to confuse me, but you're not confusing me. But other people who are not as blessed to be able to see the work that you're giving them, they become antagonistic and they want to bully this little boy
who's
right?
really wise,
who's really
is
wise,
being advanced,
but don't know he's wise. And my mother couldn't understand. Boy, what's wrong with you? I'm gonna take you at that special class, And
that's how our parents used to threaten, right?
Yeah. And so when you look at what happens historically about how we're educated, I learned in first and second grade, and had to be a fast thing after that. See, spot, run. Dick and Jane that's how slow they were teaching us.
Yeah.
And I said, and so when I took the book home, my mother said, "Boy, you're reading too fast." I said, "Ma, they reading too slow. It's like giving me a head." I literally was giving me pains in my head,
wow,
waiting for them to finish the sentence. But that's how they was teaching us, in that methodic way.
Yeah.
And we didn't learn anything besides that the people that weren't of the same color were being taught another way. It's the only thing we learned. That education was different.
All right, Tri-State, we're getting it. I tell you, the guest is here. So let's shift now and talk about impact of music, freedom of expression, what our young people are listening to, how that influences their train of thought, that coupled with the bigger mental health conversation.
Yes. Remember 40 years ago, there was no mental health problem in the black community. It's interesting, how you create an environment that is once first challenging, then become difficult, then it becomes impossible, and then they ask you to figure it out. Then when they ask you to figure it out, they throw in stuff to make sure you can figure it out by making you feel good about what you're great at. And that's when we talked about that we feel comfortable in our oppression, thus comes the music. So NWA comes with niggas with an attitude. And the public is loving through that, because I identify with that too. Yeah, I'm that guy too, right? And then 1989, they Chuck D and them come out. 1989, another summer, a sound of a funky drummer, and they came out that the fear of a black planet. So it was an interesting take on a lot of stuff. But after a while, I started becoming fear of the black planet, because the lyrics that we started using and young people receiving them, not having the ability to understand or process what those lyrics were about and what the struggle was about, because historically they didn't learn about the struggle. Yeah. Historically they didn't know, about what we've been through and how we're going to be able to get out of it. So they took on this bravado, angry thing, and it's just only doubled down through the years. And now we have to pay attention to the intention to the lyrics, because vibrations is everything. You come into a room, you know who's feeling you, and who's not.
That's right.
And if you don't, go back out and check your vibrations. And so the music is beautiful because it's bringing us back home to what we've been lost and taken away from. It's something about leaving the planet. Africa was our planet, and when we left our planet, they took stuff away from, but they didn't take the vibration. And every time the music comes, we're reminded of that vibration, and we start listening to the beat, listen to the Congo, listen to the sounds, listen to the methodic drums, and blah, 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 blah. Then they throw in the lyrics.
Tri-State, I told y'all, keep going.
And they throw in the lyrics, and, the lyrics tells you, as the mind is being, and the spirit and the soul is caught up in the music, and the lyrics tells you to kill your brother, and that your woman is not a queen, and that your child is not necessary. And we want this to be repetitive through next generations upon generations. Now remember that the one of the first things that a young rap artist has to do is sign with, when he signs with an agent. This is why a lot of them started signing with themselves. They had to sign a life insurance policy. So what you do, you make them make all that money, make millions and millions of dollars, and you sign that life, and they don't care if young. What is it? Is it a coincidence that rappers die? It's not a coincidence. It's intentional. So you have to pay attention to the intention. And if we don't pay attention to the intention, we will be the mismentioned. We will miss everything. It's the small little subtle things in our lyrics, that are directly talking about things. When you're talking about, you went from gang rap or gangster rap with it, then you went into, I'm not talking about the 70s and the love music,
right.
And there's something, I hope you can get into that when we did 70s music. But now we at the place where these things are biographical. These things are no longer fictitious. These things are real live lyrics about incidences that have happened, or an incident that will soon happen. And a lot of incidents that will soon happen are premeditated by the lyrics that are talking about something that's already happened. When you're smoking on somebody's grave, when you planning and showing that on videos, like you said, and the world sees this, that person is offended. It said that it's better to, earn a city, win a city than win some brother that you offended. You nothing to put anything in front of your brother that will cause him to stumble. And we're doing everything to cause our brothers to stumble by the lyrics that we have. And it's really irresponsible for OGs and record executives to have these innocent, vulnerable young people because they aspire to be something and risk their lives just because of the things that are coming out of their mouths. There are 10 people right now in Rikers Island that are working on their cases just by words that they said in drill music.
Is that right?
10 or more.
And so when we have this bigger conversation, some people will say, oh, it's a generational difference. You guys are hating. And then, we've just come to a place now where, I like to have the conversation or even have your thoughts on the state of our women. And you said something earlier is like queen. I don't hear a lot of that. I don't hear and see a lot of that.
Yeah, when I'm going to go into from generation, if you look at the word generation, right, it means to generate a nation. Right? And you cannot generate a nation without the woman. When you speak to a man, you speak to an individual. But when you speak to a woman, you speak to a nation. Because from her and through her comes a nation. We have really, I think we are the only people. There are a lot of other ethnicities and races that do it. But when you have the first woman on the planet to be treated as though she is the last woman to be respected, we have a problem with our child. Because this woman has to recreate her way to feel like it's interesting that have to and a lot of women say it. I'm always say that whenever there's a situation, women always say it's the brother's fault. I get a lot of pushback with that. If it's whenever there's a problem with the man and woman, I always say it's the brother's fault. Because there's one thing we have to, both of us, the woman and the man, have to, up their level, not a level of expectation, the level of connection. What happened? A lot of us go into relationship with expectations, and the greater the expectation, the greater the disappointment. And so what happens? We have to support the black woman in the sense that we come into her with something, not nothing on it. What you got to know? I'm not talking about nothing on the table. That we come with the essence of a soul of a king, and we're gonna do nothing but respect this woman as a queen. Because one day we're gonna have prince and princesses. Hopefully that we're blessed to have that. But if you stray or navigate around this woman, who's your mere existence is totally dependent upon what happens to her, you're already killing yourself. So we ain't got to worry about no gun violence. You treat the black woman wrong, you're already killing yourself. It's suicidal. That if the black woman is not raised to the highest point, the black family doesn't have a chance.
I mean, I don't even know what to say at this point, other than thank you. And to the tri-state, I hope you receive that in all of its fullness and its wisdom. Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for lifting that up, because that kind of language I don't hear often, right? I don't hear that language, right? We're inundated with other things, and I think we missed the opportunity. That's why it was so important for me to have you here. Again, Tri-State, I sat with him recently on a panel, and when I went home, my spirit was like on fire. I'm like, I got to get back with him, because his wisdom was just in that room, and I felt the need to bring it forth. And I hope that this broadcast will continue to move you around and move your voice around, because people can benefit from it. So let's talk about the 70s music. You wanted to talk about that?
Yeah.
That was a good time.
Yes. The 70s was also an interesting time, because
Put your mic.
it was also the age of Aquarius, right? And so there was Fifth Dimension made a song, when the moon is in the seventh house and Jupiter aligns with Mars, then peace will guide our planet and love will guide the stars, right? And so right after that, they knew we had it. They had to come after us, because remember the beauty of the family had to be broken. As I say, we came out of Africa, we came out of Asia, and we came out of a place that was looking so unbelievably. It's not that we were strangers to them. It's just that, wow, all that we took them through, and they still standing up. All those that we have persecuted. And what happened, they realized to take back, the only way you can do it if they do it to each other. So the music came in the 70s. It also came at the same time when drugs was thrown back into the community, when guns was put back into the community at the same time. But the music was everlasting. But our parents didn't have a chance, because the social conditions of these beautiful men and women that were in love with each other. I think 60s and 70s was the last time Black men and women really loved each other. People are going to be mad at me about that. But I see my mom and dad.
Yeah.
And then my dad was gone before I was 4. And then I seen him come by every now and then with the music. And he was a Temptations guy. And my mother, of course, all the women were Smokey Robinson guys or Eddie Kendricks, And so they loved it. Everything was about love.
Yeah.
But it had to be broken. And we don't watch these things that are hiding from us, that come to attack us. But the 70s, like you used to go to the basement parties, right?
Yes.
And they would sometimes they would have the light on, but then they started turning the light off, and this is when the 70s started mixing the music in. You remember back in the days, you play music and then you take the record. You got enough chance to change your partner.
Yeah.
Then they turn the lights on. You dancing with a partner. Oh no! But you still love the exchange, the music and the roller skating and seeing each other in a different light when your hands were clenched to the sky and talking about power, Black power. But Black was the essence of something that we never got to really know, and power to us became useless unless we knew what Black meant. So then we started creating other things about what we were powerful. It became we treated our women so bad that the women had to identify themselves like bears in the forest. When the temperature changed, they have to make sure that their coat goes, and it takes them a while. It takes them 10 years, but their coat changes because the weather's changing. They don't have a 5-day forecast. They just feel that the weather changed. So the Black woman felt that it was changing the way the world looked at her, so she had to change. And still today, the Black woman is the only woman that has to say that I'm an independent Black woman. I'm in that point. I'm a strong female. No, you don't have to be that.
That's right.
But we were forced to be that. But I don't want you to change from thinking that way until these men are ready for you.
Tri-State, you should know I came in here with pages full of questions, and I have not looked at the pages one time. I've just been directly in his face, because when I tell you this is a conversation I can appreciate, I definitely can. What is the charge for the community?
Okay, I'm going to read the charge. Okay, because the charge is so important that I don't want to leave it to my wits and my wisdom from experience. But the charge is, this is the charge. I want us to know that the gunfire is both literally and figuratively self-inflicted. We are numb. We are waiting to be seized from our dependency on the systems that were created to manipulate, monitor, and control our destiny. Our ancestry is screaming to be free, while our experience has us bursting to be enslaved. The levees of our own Constitution have broken, and our communities and people have been flooded with false promises, flawed laws, and misguided hope. Again, I say we must retreat. We must find each other again. Peace has not left us. We have left peace. God has not left us. We have left God. When you say, people say, "Oh, I found God." Nah, you ain't find God. He ain't never been lost. Stand right there laying for you. You know, whatever you call him. And I don't want to, separate people from denominations or through religious, but you must find the deity, because it got to be heavier than this stuff right here. This stuff ain't as light as it looks. This is some real intentional spiritual stuff. We're here fighting this physical war, this physical battle, and the spirits are controlling what has happened to us mentally and physically. We have to go back to our base and go over the next steps, because if we continue this way, we would be nothing less. It would be nothing less than self-sabotage. The internet, fool you of the ability to have what you want when you want it. Also, we must follow up. Go see your brother. Go see your sister.
Right.
Go knock on the door. The neighbor say, "Look, check this. I know it's 2026,
right.
And neighbors ain't supposed to talk.
Right.
We ain't supposed to talk to each other.
Right.
And brother, I know I ain't supposed to talk to you. Brother, look, I'm an older brother, and I seen the pain that we have, brother. I just want to say, bro, whatever you're going through, man, it can get better. Sometimes you need to reach out and get help. I'm here to help or direct you to the help if I can't help you. And let's tell our sisters to be encouraged, to stay focused and stop hating on one another. They don't have to knock down somebody else's castle just to build up your little barn. You got a little barn, you fighting over somebody else, and you knocking somebody's castle down because you don't know that barn is already a castle. It's it's not what you live with, it's how you live with.
That's right.
You can live with anybody, but it's what you put inside that barn that makes it feel like a castle or not. And just really finding what peace and love means. And it can be separate or it can be collective, and find ourselves in our collective. The charge is for us to be more accountable and be more responsible. And somebody reach out to young people, and young people reach out to old people, because remember, it's not a generation gap, it's a cultural decline. And I want you to reminisce that there's no such thing as a generation gap, because the generation just means to, generate a nation. And if we're always going to be a nation, good, bad, or ugly, but we are a people that have been lost for a long time. And the only way you're going to be found if we find each other.
Do you have a book?
Yes.
Can you talk about it?
It's funny that no one asks me that.
Because people are going to want to have the replay on this, but we need to tap into all sources of A.U. Hogan.
Yeah, there's a book that's coming out. My first book, called Love is Simply Confusing, was written. It came out in 2009. Remember, the name of it is Love is Simply Confusing, which is the identity and how to process the relationship. And so the second book is called See You in Two. And that specifically deals with what happens during the midterm elections, where a man seen a president get elected, and he wanted to flee the country to move to Canada, but everywhere this man went, the president that was newly elected in America took over that country. So where do we go? Wherever we go, we're under the same conditions. If you look, there's so Love is Simply Confusing, and then See You in Two, which See You in Two came out of the idea of credible messengers out of the life camp. My concept that if we're credible messengers that we bring home, you also have to be suitable. You can't be credible for 5. You can't come home for 10 years and still be leaning on your homeboy, I was that dude kind of conversation. You have to evolve. There's no revolution unless there's an evolution. If you don't change yourself, you can't change nobody. Think about that. If you don't teach yourself, you better not try to teach your son. If you can't raise yourself, you better not try to raise your daughter. And you definitely don't try to protect your wife if you think that you can just be the same person that you was 20 years ago before you were in prison.
We need to have a brothers symposium with this man leading it. There's so much there. I just want, before we wrap up, I want you to lean into, because you're highly educated, wise, lived experience, all of the things. How important is it for our communities and our generations to stay close to literacy and reading and education?
Oh man, I think I buy a book on Amazon every day.
I love that though.
The only addiction I have is reading. right? And the thing, I want to be in the conversation. I don't want to be the play in the conversation, but I want to be in the conversation, listening, to be able to feedback. The only thing I can get to my children, my grandchildren, is the information that's received in me. I can give them a whole lot of money, and they might, the way these young people do, they're going to spend it before the long time it took for me to get that, right? You know, so I'm going to leave you everything, but what you're going to do with it. But I know if I give them information, you know, they're going to be able to process that. Reading is so important. Literacy is so important.
Yeah.
I have closest friends, and I was wondering why they're not doing this, why not doing that. But in the cipher, don't be laughing at people because you don't know nobody else's experience. You don't know what anybody else went through. You know, it's very important that you have these reading cycles. I make sure that every young brother and sister that have children, I'm glad you're at the park, but when they get out of school, let them do a half hour to read something.
That's right.
And on the weekends, read. Believe me, I've been blessed by my children being forced and knocked and dragged to the library every Saturday. Because now it has created educators.
Good.
For my young children, and they are moving fast. And my daughter, who teaches, she's a professor at Queens College, and she her book just come out, Evidence of a Woman. The book just came out. It's called Evidence of a Woman. She calls me every single morning and want to talk important, smart stuff. And Pat, I be like,
What's her name? Her
name is Tynera Hogan.
Tynera Hogan. Shout out to you, Tynera.
Yes, and I gotta press it. Man, I can't go through this every. I'm trying to, you wake up in the morning, 5:30, 6 o'clock, you want to spend that half hour to yourself, receive the energy that's coming in and get the energy back that was coming in through the night, because the energies are transformative, that spirits are transformative.
Yeah.
Make sure you don't turn the TV on first, don't touch your phone the first time. Spend time with yourself, meditate, spend some time with God and just relax. Go outside if you got a yard. Go in the hallway if you got an apartment. Or open up the balcony. Enjoy yourself entering another day.
That's right.
Enjoy yourself.
But
my name's Zainab, and then I have my Zainab Hogan. She runs Murder P. Jarman, and she was one of the young sisters. I was talking to my daughter, her master's in early childhood education. She runs Murder P. Jarman, which is a nursery school. For 2 years, when she got to be the executive director of there, that the teachers that was her teacher when she was 3 years old.
Go on your mic.
That the teachers that was her teacher when she was 3 and 4 years old, she became their boss when she was 27.
You see that? Look at that.
I said, wow. I didn't even do that, Zai. You gangster. No.
Wow. Final words for the Tri-State as we wrap up.
Final words is find me, find Pat Robinson. His sister is rocking and rolling, and in order for us to have, for those who are doing whatever they're doing, we always will need a voice, because the masses won't learn unless they have an outlet, and this is a very, very great outlet.
Thank you.
I heard millions of people watch. You might listen to this station, and I think I met you when I was asked to go to a mental health at hygiene panel, and my job asked me to go, and I said, I'm not going unless I'm on the panel. I don't need to listen to nobody talking about black male health, mental health. I know we messed up, and so I got on the panel. I think that's the first day I met you, and we tore that panel up because we get so closed into our format. Remember, the format's part of the system. If we don't at least divvy out a little bit from the system, we're going to complicate. The DSM DSM-5 is adding more. It's going so quick they can't even make a DSM-6, which is Diagnostic Statistical Methods, the book, the Bible of mental health illnesses. So if we don't quickly correct who we are with one another, we have to find each other, Pat. That's all. We have to find each other in a better space, get out of the subcultures. Yeah. It's okay to come out and meet your brother again. It's okay to take your kids to the park. You better take your kids to the library, and maybe you can read about the park, But it's both to be healthy inside our recreation and also in our education without us learning, because they get rid of all the books anyway. Yeah. So that's why I try to be, when I try to put these. I don't attack anyone in any of my books because whoever needs being attacked, they already attacked themselves. I had to worry about that.
Wow.
They already beating themselves up.
Yeah.
You coming at somebody for?
Yeah.
That was the problem with me and 50 when he did the Diddy thing. You know, bro. Nah, I'm gonna put it, bro. Then when I seen it, I said, okay, I know what that's about. But like the Minister Farrakhan also told him, they're gonna find out what if you're doing wrong, you're gonna find out anything if you're not. People are so wanting to be something other than who they are. They are willing to give up their souls. That's why Sinners won best movie. Come on, I know you was glad. Yeah. But that's why, because it's great for the devil to have you sell your soul to the devil. He gonna give you an award for it. But he thought it was a movie. Then he realized that he had to disassociate himself with it after getting the Oscar, the brother. But he gotta be careful what he signed on to, because it's a movie for you. But it was written for thus. For thus be making sure that you don't become who you are.
Wow. And there you have it, Tri-State. I hope that you have been informed, enlightened, inspired, and taught. Thank you for joining us this Father's Day, A.U. Hogan. And Tri-State, let's remember that love, guidance, discipline, and accountability still matter. Our children are watching us. They're listening. They're learning from what we do far more than from what we say. And so we're going to continue to give them something worth following. I want to thank you. I want to wish everyone a happy Father's Day. You know, you can follow me on Instagram at Convos on the Block. You have direct access to me at patricia.robinson1@odyssey.com. Again, that's patricia.robinson1@odyssey.com. Until next week, be well, my friends.
And happy Father's Day.
Yes.
And thank you, mothers.
Yes.